to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and we're back with another one of our 24/7 news report videos. As always, we start with our headline news, and the headline news today is that Everton are in early negotiations with Tottenham midfielder Harry Winks. Winks would be willing to sign for Everton, and there is a hope that the deal can be done. 3 other Premier League teams are also interested in a 26-year-old. That's come via the Liverpool Echo. Personally, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know if I rate Harry Winks that highly. Apparently, people believe he might be doing the role that Donny van der Beek did last season. But that, again, is entirely speculation because we're also rumoured to be going to a 5 at the back formation or 3 at the back. Call it what you like. It all sits the same. 5 when you're defending, 3 when you're attacking. So that would there's only so many. I mean, you don't get many of them that have a 3-man midfield because that just leaves it looks a bit negative. And maybe in the 4-3-3 it'd work. Yeah, I just don't know what to make of this. Half of me thinks good player, good attitude while he's been at Tottenham. Really does love Tottenham as well. I remember watching the Tottenham documentary, and that was very clear how much he loved Tottenham. And then part of me thinks, he could be a good player. I've not seen enough of him to say he's not going to be. I just think he's an okay player. But then part of me worries we've got the English Andre Gomez. I've seen a couple of people say he walks into our midfield. That isn't strictly true. I don't think in a 2 he does. I think the Core and Allen are better. When you think about the roles they play and the roles you need in a 2-man mid. In a 3-man, I would agree. Walks in, he's better than Andre Gomez. Shabamin's a different type of midfielder, and he can't stay fit. Tom Davies, I'd say he's slightly better than Tom Davies. So he does get into a 3-man midfield, but then you'd taken Iwobi out, and I think Iwobi did really well in that role last year. So at what cost? Does he get in above Iwobi? I'd like to see Iwobi play more games there, really, and we can then have a proper look at if this is Iwobi's real position. The other thing that massively with a lot of the stuff I talk about in today's video, but especially Harry Winks, is the price. If the price is good, then okay, but Daniel Levy's very astute. He's not going to give him away for nothing, is he? He's a very astute businessman. He's one of the best businessmen in the world. Just look at their stadium. He's done that with the underground NFL pitch for the NFL when it comes to America. He's very clever. He doesn't give you anything for nothing. He was very happy to ship Dele Alli on. Now, some people really rave about Dele. I think the jury is still very much out. I still think as an Everton player, he's very unproven. Harry Winks, is this another one where Spurs are offloading their not their rubbish, because that's a horrible thing to say, but they're lesser players? Are they offloading their again, rejects is a horrible word, but are they offloading players that aren't good enough for Tottenham onto us? That's not to say that if they're not good enough for Tottenham, they're not good enough for us by any stretch. There are a number of players that don't always get games at Tottenham that you'd absolutely kill for at Everton. I don't know about this one, guys. I'm very on the fence about it. And the big one is it depends how much it costs. Next, we have that any funds from the potential Richarlison sale could be used to sign Hull City's Keane Lewis Potter, who is valued at around £30 million. That's come from Mark Douglas of the iSport paper. He also mentioned in that Richarlison holds great affection for Everton and it'll be difficult to leave the club, but a move is preferred this summer if should the right club come in. What the right club is, I've heard it's potentially Tottenham or Chelsea. I think he's going to go to Chelsea. I think he wants to stay in the Premier League. I think he was only going to leave for maybe Real Madrid because he likes Ancelotti. But I think Chelsea is probably where he's going to go in the Premier League, which is quite is an interesting one, isn't it? Well, and it's a shame. You can tell he loves the club. You can tell he really likes it here. All the fans love him. But ultimately he wants to go and win stuff. And that's not happening at Everton, unfortunately, for a little while. So, he sees Chelsea and he sees Tuchel and he thinks that's where I want to be playing at that level. So I'm not surprised, and I don't think we should stand in his way, and I don't think fans should hold him in a bad regard for wanting to go on and do better. He's not sat there sulked and packed up his tools. He has really worked hard, especially this season, to save us. On to Keane Lewis Potter. I've seen loads want him. I can't say I watch the EFL an awful lot, so I can't tell you that I watch an awful lot of him. His numbers look okay. 30 million is quite expensive, though, for a player playing at that level. That is quite an expensive transfer fee that I've seen. When you think Dennis is 20 million and got similar numbers to Richarlison last year in the Premier League, it sort of looks maybe like that way. That's the better deal. Apparently, Dennis has an attitude issue, supposedly, according to a couple of Watford fans. I don't know how much truth is in that. I don't know what Keane Lewis Potter's attitude is like. What I will say is he's English, and so is Harry Winks, and a couple of the players we've been linked with are English. Maybe Frank Lampard's trying to put an English core into the team again. And you think James Tarkowski's coming in as well, who's an English player. We were linked with Brennan Johnson as well. There are, Conor Gallagher, for example, Levy Colwell. There does seem to be a trend that they are young English players, which it's nice to see. Don't get me wrong, but I think there is such a thing as English tax a little bit. I just think 30 million is a bit steep. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody will probably say, you're wrong. But I just think that is a bit steep, and I don't know if Everton have that type of money when we're hearing how skint we are. Next, we have that Everton have inquired into Christian Eriksen. Manchester United, Newcastle United and Brentford have also made approaches. The Denmark international is keen to stay in the Premier League. That's come from the iPaper Sport. I personally think he's going to go to United. I'd love for him to stay at, other than us, I'd love for him to stay at Brentford. I think it's a nice story. They took a chance on him, and he has paid them back in his performances. I'd love it for him to stay there if he doesn't come to us. But I think he's probably going to go to United and Ten Hag. He'd be really good for us. I'd obviously have him. I know his age is a little bit, up there, but he's just such a creative midfielder and something we really missed last season. He'd be like a James Rodriguez, where he just unlocks defences. And it was something we really missed last season. We really missed a creative player. When you've watched some of Brentford, some of their best performances and plays have started with him. He was a catalyst in that midfield, and a joy to watch at times. I would like him at us, but honestly, I could see him going to United. I'm not getting that excited over that one. We also have the Everton are considering a bid for Roma midfielder Jordan Veretout. This comes from Calcio Mercato. I think the days of this have passed. This isn't the first time we've been linked with him. I think we should have got him a couple of seasons ago, if anything. Again, same with Winks, depends on the transfer fee. He's a more defensive-minded, deep-line playmaker type midfielder. It would give Alan a bit of a rest, and he can play the ball, which might be a little bit better than Alan. His ball-playing ability. He is getting on a little bit, though. And again, it would depend what the cost is. He has obviously just come off a Europa Conference win with Roma and Jose Mourinho, which is interesting that Mourinho seems to want to move him on. He's 29, so he's still a decent-ish age. He's not past it. He's not a 40 or 35-year-old. Again, depends on the price. If we can pick him up for a decent fee, then why not? We definitely do need midfielders, and if we can get a defensive playmaker, then that would be even better for us. So we'll have to, it depends on the price, which is the issue with a lot of these. And the issue again with the next one, which we're staying in Italy for. Everton are interested in signing Juventus left-back Luca Pellegrini. This has come from Corriere dello Sport. I can't say I've watched an awful lot of this lad, but I will say this: it looks like we are after another left back. You've got Zinchenko rumoured, Windal rumoured, and now him. And the other day I said we needed a left back, so we couldn't just have Nikolenko. You guys in the comments very rightly corrected me and went, we have still got Niels Nkunku, who I had completely forgot about. So, thank you for reminding me, because I had completely forgot about the lad. This to me makes it seem like the club aren't fully convinced by him. They'll either sell him or loan him again, as we're looking for another left back. Out the three, Windal's very, very good. I love Windal. The price is decent as well. Pellegrini, I can't say I've seen an awful lot from him, but he's a young lad. Zinchenko is a decent player, Premier League proven. The thing with Zinchenko is he offers you a bit more versatility. He can play midfield, he can play left wing, because that's where he started. So he is very, very good. the problem with Zinchenko is the price of Vindal was very well priced. Don't know how much Pellegrini is. Again, it depends on the price for this one because Vindal was very well priced. Zinchenko's around 30 million. Again, I don't know if Everton have got that money. Unless we sell Richarlison, spend on a replacement of his wisely, maybe Dennis there, and then get Zinchenko, and there's 50 million spent off the Richarlison money, which we're rumoured to be looking at, 50 to 60 anyway for him. That's sort of the way. Or you get Lewis Potter for 30, and then you sign Windal for 10. That's another way you could do it, maybe, from the rumoured fees I've heard. It'd be interesting to see what we do. Everton, we also have finally Everton, PSG, Barcelona are all interested in 18-year-old Vasco da Gama midfielder Andre Santos. Brazilian could be signed for 8 million, and that's come from Le 10 Sport. Don't know an awful lot about this young lad, as he's 18 and plays in the Brazilian league. I've not seen him on Football Manager, which is normally where I'd see young lads from Brazil coming up, as wonder kids. I will say this, he could be absolutely fantastic, or he could be not very good. 8 million at his age, there'll be sell-on value, hopefully, which would be a little bit, which would be helpful. Yeah, I mean, with the age he is, he could be, for instance, like a Rodrigo, who was brought from the Brazilian league, where they do really well in the top flights, or he could be like Gabriel Barbosa, who I'm not saying isn't a good player, he is, but he moved to Inter, didn't work out, he had to move back to Brazil, and is now scoring for fun, and I think probably deserves a move out of Brazil again, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I think he's worth a punt. I think he's worth a punt for the money. And finally, guys, Armando Broja wants a promise of first-team regular football next season amid the West Ham, Napoli, Atalanta, Everton interest. Chelsea's preference is to wait until pre-season to discuss his future. This has come from Nizar Kinsella, who is a Chelsea correspondent for Goal. I think West Ham, from what I last heard, have put in a bid for him for 30 odd million. Again, if we went for him for 30 million, we wouldn't be getting Lewis Potter or Zinchenko. We have to balance the books a little bit. So maybe we get Windal or Pellegrini, depending on the price. He had a good start to the season. He sort of fell along the wayside afterwards, but so did Southampton as a whole. They sort of fell away. It depends, doesn't it? If we sold Richarlison, he might get first-team football, but if not, it depends if we play two up front. If we only play one up front, I think Lampard has fully put his eggs in Calvert-Lewin. So Broja will probably end up going to West Ham then, because he'd be guaranteed first-team football. I don't think he wants to sit behind DCL. If we play two, that will be enough for him, because he'll get regular football alongside DCL. He's a good player, I like the style of him. He's aggressive, he's physical. But there are a number of suitors after him, and the promise of first-team football, I don't know, again, it's a bit like WINKS on, it heavily depends on what formation Frank Lampard sets up in. He sets up in like a 5-3-2, then yeah, maybe that works, or a 3-5-2. Yeah, it's very, very dependent on that. But he's had an okay first season in the Premier League. But that is all I've got time for. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on anything I've spoken about. Who would you rather have, Zinchenko, Pellegrini, or Windal? Bearing in mind, the higher the price, the less likely you are to get a striker. Let me know your combo. Would you rather have Dennis and Windal or Pellegrini, or would you rather have Lewis Potter, Dennis and Zinchenko, or would you rather have Lewis Potter and Pellegrini or Windal, or would you rather have Broja, Windal and Pellegrini, because they seem to be the three choices. So let me know the three choices, and let me know your thoughts if you've heard about the Brazilian lad, what's he like, and ultimately where you think Richarlison will end up next season. But that is all I've got time for, guys, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.